So in the last example, you saw that we put a positive and a negative symbol outside of the brackets, just right here, where we end up putting the +2 and the -1, the -1. So you're kind of like, okay, so I heard you say that we got rid of it, so it became positive, and it added it too, so it became negative, but how do I know what number to put here? So it's really easy. So the rule that this is sitting behind is that if an atom loses electrons, the atom now has more protons than electrons, so we give the new ion a positive charge. That's something that we call a cation, and the easy way to remember that is that T right there, a lowercase t, looks like a little positive symbol. And so we say the positive charged ions are called cations. And then if an atom gains or accepts electrons, the atom is now has more electrons than protons. So we will give the new ion a negative charge, or an anion. And we kind of remember that again with that second letter. It's an N for negative. And that's going to be the easy way to remember those two words. But once again, that's just what I said in the last video. So what we're looking at with this, okay, is it comes down to the fact that for that last example, we had strontium who had the 2 electrons that it gave away, right? So strontium, if we were to look at our periodic table, like we had on here, our periodic table tells us that strontium has an atomic number of 38. So if we have an atomic number of 38, okay, that means that we have 38 protons, okay? It also meant that we had 38 electrons. Once the strontium gave away those 2 electrons, we now have 36 electrons. When you look at these numbers, we have 36 versus 38. So this is showing that we have more protons than electrons. So therefore, it is going to be a positive ion. And then you have to indicate how many. Well, it changed by 2 electrons. So this is two more positive than negative. So this is where that +2 is coming from. We can also do the same thing for our other part of that problem, which was the bromine who gained an electron, right? So we had 2 bromines that each gained an electron. So for the bromine that gained an electron, we'll do this one in red. Okay, we have our bromine. Bromine has an atomic number, if we look at the periodic table, of 35. So we have 35, sorry for my handwriting, protons, and we have 35 electrons. Okay, that's a neutral atom. But what we had here, so he had 7 electrons originally, right? But then we saw that he got an electron added to it. So now, instead of having 35 electrons, bromine now has 36 electrons. So now what we're looking at is that we have more electrons than we do protons. When you have more negative things than you do positive things, that gives you an overall negative charge. And then we're going to say how much more. This only gained 1, so this is going to be -1 charge. So anytime that you are losing electrons, you're going to become positive, and you're going to say how many did it become positive by. And anytime that you are gaining or accepting electrons, you're going to become more negative, and then you're going to indicate by what number did it become negative. So make sure you use that when you are deciding on those charges after the transfer has occurred. So here we had a +2 and a -1, -1. Make sure you indicate that on your brackets. You also saw in the original video that I give you an idea of what the charges are going to be when we start to do the crisscross method in a couple days. So make sure that you have those written. You can also refer to that. That's usually the rule that they're going to go by as well for the charges. Okay, so hopefully that clears up how we're going to be doing these positive charges and negative charges for the drawings today.